How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at a trio of spider people. On the right, we have the Amazing Fantasy 60th Anniversary Spider-Man. Very cool. And on our left, we have the Renew Your Vows Peter Parker and Mary Jane Parker 2-pack. Let's quick look at the packaging. On the left side, we have comic art. Very cool. On the right side of the packages, we have figure renderings. Really nice. Quick look at the back. The 2-pack has 2 additional head portraits, Peter Parker and Mary Jane Parker, 2 pairs of hands each figure. And then our 60th Anniversary Spider-Man comes with additional web effects and 3 pairs of additional hands. Really, really nice. Spider-Man 60 Amazing Years. Let's get him out of the package. All right, let's take a close look at our 3 amazing spider people. From left to right, we have Peter Parker, Mary Jane Parker, and Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. We're going to take a close look at a comparison, but first we're going to look at some deco choices, and we'll start out with their accessories. Renew Your Vows Spider-Man, he comes with an additional head portrait of Peter Parker, and look at the paintwork on this thing. Super well done. You've got a little glint in the eye. Really well done. He's got like a little smirk. Great mold work on the hair. Mary Jane Parker also comes with her face portrait, and it is very well painted, vibrant colors. Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man doesn't have an additional head portrait, but what he does have is a ton of accessories. So let's take a look at that now together. Each of the 3 figures comes with identical hands for the most part. They all have web slinging hands. They all have the grippy hands. And in the case of the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man, he comes with additional web swinging hands for the piece of web that he can swing on. He also comes with the web effects to recreate the comic book appearance that you can attach to his triceps. But let's take a close look at the art and deco of these awesome figs. Starting out with Spinneret, her colors are vibrant and pop, and they look absolutely great on this figure. We have clean lines on all of the webbing. I don't notice any blemishes or mistakes right now. Here on the other side, very, very clean webbing. Super nice, even down here on the boots. And this little flare that she has on the bottom. Very clean webbing. On her face portrait, look at how clean the paint is. This little piece of hair is soft. That's a nice little touch. I wish hair was softer in general. You know, like, a little adhesive, and then just go with this kind of soft plastic. On the articulation front, minus the butterfly joints, which she doesn't have, minus a waist cut or an ab crunch, which she also doesn't have. She pretty much has the same articulation as our spider figures. The upper diaphragm cut gives her some movement, more so backward, then forward. And I would have to say that I give our Spinneret a total thumbs up. Heck yeah. All right, and now let's take a close look at our 2 Spider-Men side by side. Point for point, their articulation is primarily the same. If we get them standing back to back, you see the height difference, especially here at the shoulders. We are pinless throughout. If we look at their torsos, here at the diaphragm cut on Renew Your Vows, you see that it is the traditional diaphragm cut that is almost flat all the way across. Whereas this one has a little bit of a frown at the diaphragm cut. So that mold change I noticed, and I thought it was pretty cool to have that variance there. Otherwise, their articulation is the same. They both have the inverted ab crunch, which is outstanding. And on Renew Your Vows, you have the enhanced articulation with the toe. Something that I did notice, Amazing Fantasy will give you a great bit of range upward with the head, whereas Renew Your Vows, you're not going to get as much of a look upward. And you do have this unsightly gap there, which is more unsightly than it is here. And it is because of the choice in the neck peg that they went with. Here on Amazing Fantasy, you have the neck peg on a joint that can articulate pretty much 180 degrees. But on Renew Your Vows, you've got a standard rigid ball on a neck peg with a cut here in the back of the neck for whatever reason. I guess because there is like a little notch there. But it's not much, and I wish that they had gone with this construction for this figure. And you can really see the difference in the color red here, where the mask is much darker and the head is much larger. He's a big head little Spidey with a big cranium. And this guy kind of looks like a Koopa. So you gotta give articulation in the head to Amazing Fantasy, and you gotta give, I guess, leg articulation over to Renew Your Vows because of the toe articulation, which is pretty awesome to have that in your Spider-Man figure. Something else that I noticed as a sculpt, or I guess a deco element designed for the figure, were the elbow joints, which are much beefier than what I'm accustomed to seeing on Spider-Man figures. You can kind of like see it side by side here. That little piece there is much thicker than most Spider-Man, and I'm gonna give you a comparison of that. I'm gonna bring out a Marvel Legends Ben Reilly, and we'll get him right there side by side. Hey, sorry for that proximity there, bud. And you can see that it is maybe by a third, it's thinner than this elbow joint, and that's interesting. I'm gonna bring out a much larger, if I can get their joints there side by side. It might not come across on camera, but the elbow joint on this Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man is slightly thicker than the elbow joint on Venom here by comparison. So very nice construction upgrade, if that's going to become a permanent thing on Marvel Legends figs, that we have these stronger elbows, beefier elbows, and beefier knees. Really cool. Let's look at some action poses in play before we do our themed comparison. All right, we've got Peter Parker and Mary Jane Parker set up after renewing their vows, and all of a sudden crashing the wedding. We've got the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man hanging out on the very elastic webbing that he has. The web swinging hands have the vertical hinges so that you can articulate the hand for swinging on the web. And I thought this was a cool little dynamic pose here. Really nice. I'm digging that. And this would work perfectly well if you tied it to something because it's pretty elastic, you know, and you could attach it to something and have your Spider-Man crashing weddings all over the place. I am digging this Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man very, very much. But overall, I think I'm digging Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man a little bit more. I do think that it's the web swinging hands and the web swinging effect. And I think just the slightly smaller size, I like also for my Spider-Man. Really cool, super awesome. Let's go ahead and jump into our themed comparison. All right, let's get right down to it. I'm gonna bring out my Zombie Hunter Spidey, and we'll get him sized up right there next to Amazing Fantasy. We see that Zombie Hunter Spidey is a bit smaller. Look at the camera, buddy, there you go. Retro Collection Webman. And we see that even he is a little bit shorter than Renew Your Vows. Next up, I will bring out Superior Octopus. And I love this figure. And you can see that even he's almost the height of our Renew Your Vows Peter Parker. I'll also bring out my Retro Collection Black Suit Spider-Man. Very nice. I like how we're building this out right here. I will also bring out my Marvel Legends Ben Reilly. Very cool. And last but not least, just to give us a sense of size, I'll bring back our Venom, and I'll get him back here, towering over everybody a bit. These are some awesome figures. Spinneret is great in deco, but I don't really find much new about the figure other than just the paint applications. I would like to see some new stuff in our heroines in the Marvel Legends line. In terms of our two Spideys, they're both awesome. They're great new additions to the Spidey collection. If I had to choose one favorite between the two, it is definitely the Amazing Fantasy Spider-Man. This guy is my current favorite Spider-Man, no question about it, in the Marvel Legends line. He is absolutely awesome looking. Very cool. As always, everybody, I'm having a lot of fun taking these times out to share the experience of collecting toys as an adult. And I hope you're able to keep coming back and share some experiences too. Until next time, everybody, take care.